The woodworking YouTube videos I have watched in the past have not emphasized the design process. This video will walk you through my process, as well as choosing joints that will hopefully be strong enough to hold the piece together for its lifetime. The design of this project started about 1.5 years ago. My client has an Eames chair and an ottoman, and when I was at his home, he had a glass in his right hand, but the way the room is laid out, he would have to set the drink down on his left side. I asked him if he would consider having me make a side stand that would hold a drink and a TV remote. I qualified it by stating that the design would have to remain true to the mid-century time period because of the chair. I threw out a couple of design ideas with him on a scratch pad. I then spent 4 days trying to learn SketchUp before coming up with the following screenshot. I had put a lot of effort into learning SketchUp, but when the time came to make this project, I wanted to make some changes. It had been too long, and the learning curve to try to make adjustments to the SketchUp was too time-intensive. I also had a lot of difficulty trying to get SketchUp to give me the exact angles of compound miters that I was going to have to cut. I am still not sure which way would be more efficient, but I am much more familiar with creeping up on angles and joints and test fitting than I am with learning the new processes. I will continue to improve though, and maybe it will be beneficial to me in the long term. This is an existing piece of furniture in the client's home, and I thought that I would incorporate this design in the leg of the stand. Doing so is what added the extra complexity with the angles that would have to be cut and the added difficulty. Even with SketchUp there to aid in looking at a piece in 3D, with rotating the model and viewing from every conceivable angle, I was still a bit apprehensive about the look of the design in the physical space. I decided to use what a friend of mine called CAD, as in cardboard-aided design. I can cut out all the required pieces, use superglue and accelerant to put together the whole design in less than an hour. New parts can be easily cut and clamped, or glued as necessary, and when I finish, I can use the cardboard for rough templates on the wood itself. For the wood I use Sapele, since genuine teak is pushing $50 a foot. Sapele was available for me from Hicksville Planing Mill in Clear Spring, Maryland for $5.40 a foot planed on 2 sides. I thought Sapele would give me the look of teak that a number of mid-century modern pieces are made of, without the exorbitant cost. The particular board I used had a couple rough spots that were dipped, as well as the board not being straight to begin with. The figure was really nice though, and for the size of the pieces I needed, I thought it would do nicely. I laid out the individual pieces and marked them out with a Sharpie. A run on the bandsaw separates all of the pieces so that I can shape them as needed. For each piece, the process is the same, and we need to start with one straight edge. For the back leg tip, I can index 2 points, and the entire piece fits on the fence, so a straight rough cut can be made. A hand plane session trues up the edge. This front piece sits at an in the morning 33.33 degrees, repeating of course. Yeah, sorry, more than one meme there. I cut that on the sliding miter saw after setting the proper angle. Now that the leg pieces have one straight edge, I can cut the proper angle on the joint edge and trace the remaining pattern on the wood blank. leaving the front angle long, since I don't know what that compound angle will end up being. Repeating those steps on the main upright post, I need one straight edge along with the proper bottom angle so that it interfaces with the front piece properly. On to the choice of joinery. I selected to do a biscuit-style tenon and mortise configuration for the back of the legs and the top post angle. This allows me to create the mortises, which are just holes that will accept a handmade custom biscuit that performs the function of a tenon. The bottom front face to upright post joint, I have decided to create a blind, tapered, sliding dovetail. I have used one of these in the past when I did the woodworking portion of creating an acoustic guitar where the neck meets the body. This one will be longer and narrower, and the taper is just very slight, but as it slides down, it gets tighter. I chose the dovetail for its mechanical strength, and due to the length of the main post and the pressure of that joint, I thought that it would have the best performance. You can see on my test biscuit here that I have a loose joint on the back side. The wonderful thing about doing it this way is that I can adjust the angle as necessary if it does not meet up quite right. All I have to do is make a new biscuit that is just slightly larger to accommodate the adjustments. I chose 5-minute epoxy for the joints in this drink stand. I wanted to take advantage of the gap-filling properties of epoxy, but did not want to wait around for excessive cure times. You have to be well prepared and sure of your fit and clamp situation with only 5 minutes of open work time. But it has an hour cure time, so I can glue multiple pieces in a single day. This front angle is very finicky, and I have to be super careful in both directions on the compound miter saw. I can't set the saw and get both leg angles because they are in opposite directions. Even minute changes in either angle throw the feet measurements off by quite a bit. The width and the height of the foot level is equally affected by this cut. You can see that this joint is just slightly off in the front. A small adjustment to the angle of the mortises and a new biscuit remedy this situation. Time to lay out the dovetail. It needs to go in a little more than half of the depth of the front, and the length is about 2/3 of the height of the front. I am scoring a line which will be the center of my row of Forstner bit holes. These holes provide a dado of sorts that will be the basis for my dovetail groove. I can just add the angle afterwards by hand. But why aren't you using a 7-degree template marker? I have a few reasons. Number one, this single joint is totally custom and is completed by trimming and test fitting until the mating of each surface is appropriate. Secondly, this already sits at a 33-degree angle and would be difficult to draw appropriately. Lastly, this joint needs some mechanical strength, but supreme optimal dimensions are not necessary since the joint won't even be visible. Next week, we will finish this project. I have a really nice piece for the top that I will custom mold to match the current end tables in the client's home. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.